Sometime later, after the Battle of Yavin, an Imperial officer managed to obtain one of two lightsabers that were formerly owned by Darth Atrius. Atrius lived during a time when the Sith were plentiful and powerful. During his life, he constructed a pair of cross-guard lightsabers that he often used in battle. These lightsabers had the ability to bring out the inner rage of the one wielding them, forcing them into a killing frenzy. Atrius eventually, though, died, but his sabers went on to survive. Millennia after his death, Darth Atrius' lightsabers were discovered by the smuggler Staros, who had been hired to retrieve the weapons by the crime lord on Hrodriek. One of the lightsabers only was delivered to the crime lord. The other lightsaber was sold by Staros to the Galactic Empire on the orders of Emperor Palpatine. Sometime later, an Imperial officer obtained one of these lightsabers, and as soon as Vader arrived on the planet, the officer welcomed him, supported by a contingent of stormtroopers. Vader looked at the lightsaber and asked where the other one was. The officer was confused by his question, thinking that there was only this one, and a second one did not exist. Having the short temper that Vader often displayed, he force-choked the Imperial officer, and as he gagged, he claimed that he bought the lightsaber from a smuggler and that she must have tricked him. Vader told the stormtrooper to divert all divisions to finding this smuggler and, what's most important, the other lightsaber. Vader then killed the officer as the stormtroopers scattered to begin the search. A squad of stormtroopers found the smuggler Staros and they chased her down the streets. During this entire ordeal, what Vader did not know was that Luke Skywalker was also present on the planet. In fact, he was sent on a secret mission by the rebellion. A squad of stormtroopers found the smuggler Staros and they chased her down the streets. Staros then paid a gang to stall them and they got in the way of the stormtroopers. However, Vader appeared and cut them down using his lightsaber and Darth Atrius' lightsaber as well, which fueled him in anger and in the dark side. Darth Vader was now playing right into the rage enhancement that the ancient lightsaber possessed. Vader then followed Staros' path to a cargo bay, and he used the Force to move one of the crates and block her from a clear exit. Staros at that moment shot at Darth Vader, and he used the Force to disperse the plasma bolts. What he didn't know was that Staros rigged one of the crates and then waited for Vader to follow before detonating it, throwing Vader to the side and burying him in the rubble. It wasn't long when Vader freed himself from the rubble and made his way to a nearby pod racing track. When people saw who had entered the arena, they all fled screaming in panic. The announcer went on to reveal that this was a special day. They are now hearing that a human is piloting one of the racers. As they all were aware of, traditionally, humans were not able to survive this long in a pod race due to the speed and the intensity. Human beings were just not equipped to handle that kind of pressure and speed. In fact, they were so thrilled that a human was participating that they went on to tell their patrons that as an act of goodwill, the management will be doubling the payoff in case the human pilot wins the race. They had never seen anything like it. This pilot, despite a rough start, seems to be hanging in the race. And of course, it was doubly impressive because, to their knowledge, this was the only human to have ever been able to achieve this feat. Impressive. Vader looked on, slowly building up his anger, as he too once was able to pod race without worry. He in fact went on to win the pod race on Bunta Eve, but alas, history had forgotten him. History had forgotten the only human to have won a race, and now this new human took the place of formerly Anakin Skywalker. Slowly, Vader's rage started to show. There's never been a case of a human winning a major circuit race like this one, said the announcer. Stories have circulated in some of the lesser systems, but this is unparalleled. And as the announcers went on to speak more and more highly of this human, Vader reached out with the Force and completely destroyed one of the engines. This human went from probably winning the race to now hopefully surviving the crash. With 2 blown engines, he was lucky if he survived this ordeal. In a way, Darth Vader had had participated in this pod race. At this moment, he meddled in the results of the race. Therefore, a lot of patrons on this race would lose out to the human that Vader decided the fate of this human. The race was over for him, and Vader was now left content. If history won't remember him as the only human to have ever won a pod race, then this human definitely will never take his place. As we said earlier, Luke Skywalker was on this planet unbeknownst to Darth Vader, and what Vader also didn't know was that this human that was probably going to win the race was Luke Skywalker, his son. A Skywalker still knew that this is pod racing. Sadly though, Vader cut Luke Skywalker's party short. Luckily though, Luke did not take this all too seriously. After obtaining one of Darth Atrius' lightsaber, he simply destroyed it with his own blue lightsaber, the Skywalker lightsaber that he had obtained from his father, and with R2's help, he boarded his X-Wing and left the planet completely, leaving Darth Vader to stew in his rage. And Vader crushed the ancient Sith lightsaber. Now set aside the fact that this comic shows two versions of the past and the future. So let's tackle the future first. It is that Luke Skywalker in his younger days seems to have been imitating his future grandson in Ben Solo. By him using a crossguard red lightsaber, he is kind of foreshadowing what is to come in the future, and that is Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, that he will have to face off not only once, but more than once in fact, and by the end, he had shown the reality of the situation, that Kylo Ren, similar to this lightsaber, will ultimately be broken, and nothing will come of him. Unfortunately, Kylo Ren had not learned from his uncle, neither his grandfather, Darth Vader. Now, when we talk about the past, it's really interesting to see how Darth Vader, at the end, was still that little Annie deep inside. You see that in a very hidden manner, where Darth Vader has nothing to do with the pod race. He had come for a totally different purpose, but when you see that he realizes another human is able to perform the pod race, something that was not deemed possible until Anakin Skywalker came and won the Bunta Eve race on Tatooine, now you see that without him knowing that Luke is the other human, just the fact that another human other than him can perform better in a pod race and perhaps even win, this sends him in a total jealousy mode that rarely can be seen by Darth Vader. So it is really interesting to see this aspect of Vader. Just by the holo projection themselves and by the commentators, you can see Vader got into his thoughts. Even though he thought it was impressive, something deep inside bothered him, and you see the result. So funnily enough, Vader intervenes. I don't think this has ever been seen previously. Vader is sharp, razor focused on a mission, and he wants to complete that mission no matter what the cost. He doesn't look sideways, just straight. But this is one of the rare moments when you see Darth Vader slip and you see his humanity come into focus. He is no longer a machine. He has emotions, and that emotion was total jealousy.